Hey, what's going on, guys? In this series, we focus on what exactly Call of Duty Black Ops 5 / Cold War Zombies needs to succeed. And in this specific video, which is part 4 to the series, we'll be focusing on features of the Zombies game mode like in-game community / groups and leaderboards, different game modes like a mode I like to call Grief Rush, custom mutations revitalized, liquid divinium / in-game currency, gobblegums briefly, and buffs, a new feature added to zombies, that at least my idea, right? Newton's cookbook, challenges, whether they be daily, weekly, and monthly, mastery camos like diamond, gold, and dark matter and its respective challenges, weapon kits and DLC weapons briefly, character customization, server pause, team bots, community feedback, and more. Well, that's pretty much it. That's everything in the video. And if you want to skip to any point in the video, meaning that if you want to go to, for example, cookbook or challenges or mastery camos, any one of those sections, just click the timestamp down below in the description or the comment section, and you can skip to each respective challenge if you or section if you want. I don't recommend you do that, obviously, because everything kind of links together, but that's up to you. That's your decision. Now, I also want to say, if you're a content creator, you're going to definitely enjoy this video in the series specifically, because there's a lot of awesome ideas and a lot of creative stuff, in my mind at least, that I think would benefit us as content creators. Now, if you do go ahead to enjoy the video, make sure you drop it a thumbs up, as well as make sure you are subscribed to the channel for more videos like this, whether it's videos in this series, Black Ops 5 updates, anything you're going to need. Make sure you subscribe for that. And also, if you want to be featured within the next video of the series at the end in the community feedback section, leave a comment letting me know what you want in terms of wonder weapons, guns, weapon kits. How do you want DLC weapons to be integrated? How effective do you want weapons to be? More like BO4, very weak, or BO3, very powerful? How unique do you want weapons to be? Do you want a lot of OP weapons, a lot of shitty weapons? Do you want a balance? Do you want more OP than shitty? Let me know. Weapon customization. How do you want us to customize weapons and weapon kits? What kind of attachments should we have, etc. And also wonder weapons. Should they be BO3 OP or BO4 balance? Let me know. Okay, so now let's jump into the video. So the first thing we're going to talk about is community / groups and leaderboards. So this was a feature of Black Ops 3 Zombies, but in the next game, they could take it to the next level, and that people can view a page for each group, right? And people can upload stuff like custom mutation map mods to each group if they want to. They can see group organizers post. They can team up with other people in the group. They can view group leaderboards, etc. This is also a solution to removing entire game leaderboards from the game, since they like to do that lately. They can just simply make them available to only the people on your friends list and anybody within your community, for obviously zombies at least. Now, I do believe, like I said, leaderboards should be coming back in the next game, just like in Black Ops 3. They had some pretty good leaderboards, but regardless of if they do or don't, having leaderboards per group could be very exciting, especially when maybe the group leaderboards could have different options for daily, weekly, and monthly leaders. So it could allow for friendly competition between community members, for example, giving people more motivation to play. And another example, right? Maybe little Timmy gets on BO5 and he sees little Jimmy gets around 30 and 50 minutes. He can then try to get his name above Jimmy on those leaderboards by either beating his time or round. Now, community group leaders could possibly even have the ability to post daily challenges within their groups if they wanted to. So maybe that would award people with liquid divinium or some kind of, special gobble. I don't know. Maybe it would give them a reward for completing a daily challenge. And again, that would be a perk of being within each group that you're in. I think it's definitely a cool concept to look at, and I definitely think that they can work just upon what they have in Black Ops 3. If they have the manpower to do it, I think there's a few good ideas here, especially with the leaderboards and the kind of competition side of the things that could really take the game up to the next step, and that's zombies, of course. Now, like I said, insane amount of potential, but we'll have to wait and see. So the next thing we're going to be talking about is different game modes. So classic zombies is obviously something I want to see return, meaning, however they decide to do the hit system doesn't really matter. Easter eggs, perks, all that stuff, and survival if you want to do that. Just classic zombies as you know and love. Next, survival. Just the only goal is to survive. You can do it on any map you want, but here's the thing. In survival, there may be a few more maps. You can't do any Easter eggs, like I said, nothing like that. Certain parts of the map may be locked off. But for example, the extra maps may come from if you have a big map like Transit within BO2, right? You have Transit, maybe if it comes to the next game Remastered, you take those 3 or 4 side maps and you put them into the survival section of the game. I think that's also an interesting idea. Next, another game mode that I think they should implement is One Hit Wonder, which is essentially the realistic mode from Black Ops 4. Everything is the same as beforehand though. Not like Black Ops 4 though, just the same as classic zombies, except that you're only one hit and Jug is disabled. There is no changes in zombies, no changes in zombie speed, nothing. Everything is the same except for your one hit, no no jug. If you get hit, you're done. That's it. Very simple. Next, and the final thing we're going to talk about in the game mode section, actually it's not. Next we're going to talk about gauntlets, which is, Next is the Grief Rush game mode, which I'm very excited to talk to you guys about. So it's basically what I like to call the child of BO2 Grief mode and BO4 Rush mode. I'm somebody who thoroughly enjoyed Zombies Rush and Black Ops 4. It was a way to play together with my friends, but what it also did is it allowed me to complete or compete against them if I wanted to in Zombies Rush and Black Ops 4, and it feels to be built off of Grief in BO2 just a little bit. Now, for those of you that don't know, you earn lives and points as you hold off certain points of each zombies map. So for example, you can just hold off, it'll say Zombies Rush in, 30 seconds at the poop decks. You go to the poop decks and you hold off there for a certain amount of time, and the more kills you get, the higher your multiplier goes. And if you leave by the way, if you leave the area, you die. Like, that's just how it works. So you have to stay within the area, but again, the more kills you get, the higher your multiplier gets, the more score you get, and you also can collect multiplier coins from the floor for additional points and multiplier score as well. Also, all rush drops are blue, meaning that only the person who picks them up keeps it. There are a few more aspects of Zombies Rush that are kind of like this and are really cool, challenging, and fun at certain points, but it does have its limits on replayability, and that's why I really feel like they can take Zombies Rush and just step it to the next level by simply combining some grief aspects with it. Let us play with 8 to 16 players. Let us have 2 teams. Let us mess with the other person in other ways except for stealing their drops. Maybe even let us do some kind of mini Easter eggs or of some sort, or have some kind of special mission within the mode itself. This can make it so that more people get to compete in a single match as well, so it's not just, like I said, the standard 4 players. It's 8 through possibly even 16 people, and there'd be more to do except for just steal each other's drops like in Zombies Rush and get kills. Plus, it would be a team-oriented thing. Rush is entirely solo-oriented. Even if you play as a team, most of it's solo-oriented. There's even like leaderboards, right? The more points you have, the higher you are on the leaderboards, but again, everything's solo-oriented, solo drops, everything. Although you could play as a team, it just doesn't, there's no team leaderboards, and there's only 4 people within the game. So maybe have some kind of thing in this brand new Grief Rush mode that has a quest, and you maybe have to race with your team of 4 or team of 8 against the other team of 4 or team of 8 to get it done. Max ammo's written drops not apply to each individual, but to each team. Your multiplier could be earned as a team as well, and if you want, you could also screw over the other team by doing something like grenading or shooting them, but it'll slow them down, it'll stun them, or even getting specific Grief Rush only drops. For example, maybe they can make a drop only for this mode that slows down the other team for 30 seconds. You could also get to use some classic consumables and only classic consumables, no megas. Now, I think there's definitely a shit ton of potential sitting in a mode like this. They've made Grief, they've made Rush. Why not combine aspects from the two, implement just a little bit like special drops, for example, and release it completely reinvigorated in the form of Zombies Grief Rush. So the final thing we're going to be talking about in this section is gauntlets. So please leave them in Black Ops 4, plain and simple. I respect the idea, but they are just not extremely replayable, and especially for the rewards, they didn't feel satisfying at all to complete, just tedious. Could it work? Definitely. I do believe there's potential in gauntlets, but maybe even take this concept and apply it to some kind of game mode variant to the Grief Rush game mode. Gauntlets alone are a one and done kind of deal, just like campaigns, that if you want to replay, you can, but in their current form, they're not really all too replayable, and they should just stay in Black Ops 4 in my opinion. Okay, so next, getting into custom mutations revitalized. So custom mutations of Black Ops 4 were an incredible idea. Incredible. It just didn't hit its full potential, as well as it wasn't executed so well for what it was. For example, more people would have used custom mutations if we could do Easter eggs within them. You can't do Easter eggs and mutations. Simply make it so that a week after the Easter egg is sold for the map, custom mutations Easter eggs are accessible, or just after you complete it legit yourself for the first time, you could do it in mutations after that. Also, imagine if it gave us the ability to lock off certain parts of the map, for example, a starting room only setting in mutations. Maybe we could even spawn in with a mystery box in the starting room if there's not one there already, if we choose the option, if we turn it on. On top of this, maybe make a custom mutations mods, or make custom mutations mods that are uploadable. For example, maybe someone makes a mod for TRANZIT Remastered that allows us to only stay in town. Less work by Treyarch, right? They don't even have to develop that. They can just release TRANZIT, and somebody can make a mod that's a town only mod. And the person, they also get to pick all the wall weapons on the map. They get to pick where Pack-a-Punch, where perks, where the box, and all the corresponding locations is for those specific things. And they can not only use this for themselves, but like I said, also upload it for others to play and download, which again just adds to the content creation side. Not only if you're a YouTuber, but if you're anybody who enjoys playing zombies, you can make a custom map. You don't need to be on PC. And again, it may not be to the level of custom zombies maps in PC Black Ops 3, but it's a huge step in that direction that allows everybody to easily create and upload whatever they wish for the most part, and it's another thing that could be massive for content creators, as I just said, and their community on top of just the general public. Lastly, I just gotta say, if they can find some kind of way to make us earn XP in mutations, that would be great. It's extremely unlikely, as somebody can make a map and farm XP on their own map and not release it to the public, but it's an interesting thing to think about at the very least. Definitely not necessary at all. Now moving on to Liquid Divinium / in-game currency. So Liquid Divinium, or a system very similar to it, needs to return to the next game. Black Ops 4 awarded you plasma per hour, and it maxed out at 20 per hour no matter what you did. 20 per hour, that was it. On top of that, the laboratory was a complete scam. Your time felt completely valueless, straight up. It was literally $5 US per max spin in the laboratory. Like, what? Forget what that is. I think that was something like 75 plasma. I'm not even sure, but forget what it is in plasma. It doesn't matter. $5 per max spin? That's nuts. Within Black Ops 3, you had to earn your Divinium. You had to play. You also couldn't AFK in a corner. Therefore, it not only rewarded the player for grinding and spending points, but also balanced out the AFK glitchers as well. The Dr. Monty's factory was also a lot more fair than the laboratory. It was $3 for a max spin, or maybe 2. I think it was 3, which is still expensive and a little ridiculous. But when you compare it to the amount of time in game that it takes to earn Liquid Diviniums, it pulls way far ahead of Black Ops 4. Using my efficient strat that I typically use to get a lot of Divinium, I could get 3 Liquid Diviniums in about 15 to 16 minutes max. In Black Ops 4, I have to play for nearly 2 hours to spin the max amount just once. Pardon my fucking language here, but that's what I call insane. Fucking insane. This is why I'm making a push for Divinium to come back. You could earn it at a fair rate, spend it at a fair rate, and if you wanted to, you could buy it at a fairer price than you could in another game like Black Ops 4. It's definitely not perfect. It's not perfect, but it gotta come, like, that is the best we've had so far. I don't care if you have to call it Jason Lindell's milk cartons. Bring it back. The Divinium mechanics / system itself, it needs to return. It just worked. That's it. Quick note, please leave supply drops out of both MP and zombies. There's a reason why I haven't mentioned it in any of these series. Leave it alone. We don't need them. That is all. Okay, so now we're going to be talking Gobblegums and buffs. So Gobblegums will be discussed in depth in another video of its own in this series. However, as I've stated in nearly every video in this series, please revert back to the Gobblegum system. Now, even if you can't call it that, call it Bubblegum, whatever the hell you gotta call it, and bring that shit back fast. And we not only create massive hype, but actually make the player feel a need to use consumables, opposed to a game like Black Ops 4, where they don't feel needed or really necessary or add to the game at all. They don't feel fun. Let me be clear. I don't want Mega Gobblegum / elixirs to be needed for anything, but the feeling of needing them, I do. The obsession with Gobblegums, I do. I know it's just a brain game by Activision and Treyarch, but I want that feeling back. And in Black Ops 3, I feel like the Gobblegums, the OP Gobblegums, just add to the gameplay and make everything even more fun. They could, of course, be abused, but also never necessary if you wanted to challenge yourself. So it's just that they were so OP, which in turn made them fun. And that brings me to another point that we've breezed over many times in the previous episodes, and we will definitely go over in future episodes. Balance in zombies. Let me say this very slowly. Balance in zombies will be the death of it. OP equals fun. Black Ops 4 was balanced in terms of training. You really couldn't train at all. It was really, it was just nerve-wracking. It was, training in Black Ops 4 was horrible. Barely possible. Consumables in Black Ops 4 didn't feel all that useful / needed / fun. Guns were very much underpowered compared to previous games, and wonder weapons were balanced either in terms of effectiveness, like the Death of Orion, or in terms of ammo, which I guess you could use that as well, but I would like to use the Ancient Evil wonder weapons as an example. Although, you know, it's not the worst thing ever because they're still wonder weapons. They're still a lot more balanced than they would be if they were in Black Ops 3, okay? So as a result, all of them pretty much felt mediocre at most. That was really it. And BO3 zombies, Gobblegums were OP and so much fun. Zombies were trainable, which was more fun and less mentally stressing than Black Ops 4, like I said. Guns were powerful into the 40s, which is so satisfying and so nice to just work with. And wonder weapons were extremely overpowered, which just added to all of this. That also ties in with the guns being OP, like I said before. They weren't necessary, but paired along with the OP stuff that we already had in the game, it just made you even more OP, and it made everything so much more fun. Yes, you can go to around 100 plus in Revelations without OP Gobblegums, without a cashback, but when you have that cashback, and when you have that raindrops, when you have those OP Gobblegums on top of Alchem, you could just keep pushing limits. You know what I'm saying here? You don't have to abuse them if you don't want to, but if you do, you can have even more fun. Push limits, whether it's Easter eggs or whatever the hell you want to do. Mega Gobblegums definitely help to add more fun and add a little bit more spice to the game. You don't have to use them if you don't want to, just remember that. But I like the option of having really OP Gobblegums at my side. Now you may be saying, Joe, I hear you, but the Gobblegums in Black Ops 3 were just way too OP, and you can't deny that at all. And like I said, I still agree with you on that. They were very OP, but as I just said, that's what made them very fun, right? Here's what I'll say. If they want to balance gums, do it. Just not to the extent that they did in Black Ops 4. For example, take something like Shopping Free and make it last like 35 seconds instead of 60. Take something like Power Vacuum and make it last only 2 rounds max instead of 5. Allow self-medication to last only 1 or 2 downs instead of 3. They can nerf stuff in that kind of sense instead of, time capping everything, which was so stupid. That was the most annoying thing ever. Digressing. As I said, we'll be talking about Gobblegums in a video of its own in this series, so my last comment will be that dashboarding should also come back. Now, it would help all of us, especially those who speedrun, as they don't have to fear losing their gobbles if they need to restart. Now, it would also allow us to save Gobblegums if you crash. I know this isn't really a feature, but it was just such an important part of Black Ops 3 zombies that when it disappeared on Black Ops 4, people were genuinely angry. Alright, so now moving on to the buff section. I'm actually very excited about this section. So, if you guys remember mods from World War II zombies, well, I think they can take some of the concepts associated with Talisman from Black Ops 4 and combine them into something similar to mods from World War II and call them player buffs. Now, Talismans were useless and didn't need to be monetized either, by the way, but they were in Black Ops 4. And in the very last episode of the series, I even discussed that they should just go away, just do away with zombies, but what I really should have discussed is how to implement them better, and a free solution as well, and again, that would be through player buffs. Now, I just happened to think of it recently, so that's why it's not in the previous video, but we're gonna go over it right now. So, buffs could be limited to 3 per game and locked to your level, along with something like weapons. It'll give people yet another reason to grind. For example, maybe take something like Mule Kick as a perk and give it the boot. Make it a player buff. There would be, 3 different levels of buffs, and the player has to pick 3, right? Or maybe 2 different levels, and they have to pick 3 or 2, something like that, right? Well, let's just say 3 different levels of buffs. They have to pick 3 before they go into the game, 1 from each level. We'll say that there are 3 different colors, right? Red, green, and blue. There would, of course, be some level 0 default buffs as well that are essentially similar to classic Gobblegums and that they're always available to you. And let's say that Mule Kick is a red buff, Speed Cola is a green buff, and that, the blue buff is a one that increases your rate of fire, okay? Now, what these buffs could really do is be a free way to change some perk abilities, free up perk slots, but not remove them from the game. You never lose these abilities either over the duration of the game, regardless of if you down. So, if you go down, like I just said, with Mule Kick, for example, you keep all 3 of your weapons. Now, the next thing I want to say, this would also be another way to wash out the modifier system if they were to bring back the OG perk system, okay? They could do it in the form of buffs. Again, these buffs could be unlocked with level ups or unlock tokens that you may earn by leveling up and or by completing challenges. No perk slots taken, no in-game Easter eggs for perma perks, just small, free modifiers picked before the game. Maybe even limit buffs to 2 if you want. Like I said, the point isn't the amount of buffs you have to pick from, just that they could be existent and that they could be extremely useful on multiple different levels, and is yet another feature to consider, and is also free to the entire player base. Now, the next thing we're going to be talking about is Cookbook, which links again directly to the Gobblegum and buff system. So, Newton's Cookbook was a great feature introduced into Black Ops 3 after the life cycle of the game. Despite its undeniable usefulness, it's also undeniable that this would have been a game-changing feature to have on launch in whether it was Black Ops 3 or Black Ops 4, and would also allow for some more accessibility to higher level Gobblegums for those who just grinded and maybe didn't spend money on the game. So, it just simply gives you so much more incentive to grind zombies. That's really it, because no matter what you get out of the factory, you know that even if it's crappy, right? Like the Gobblegum Bored to Death, for example, you know that you can trade that in later on for a higher scale Gobblegum, like a Perkaholic, like a Shopping Free, like something like that. You know every Gobblegum has a use. Even if it's not going to be in game, it has a use in Cookbook, meaning that you have more incentive to keep grinding, like I said. So, having this feature on disc in the next game will not only help out the community itself because they'll have yet another reason to grind, but it'll also help out Treyarch because they'll be giving people the want to play the game if they didn't already have that through the various other aspects or gameplay options that they may have. Free time? Question mark. Instead of taking a nap, just gonna go to round 20 on Town Remastered instead and get a few Liquid Divinium. Why not waste my time getting some Liquid Divinium instead of taking a nap, because I know later on, no matter what I get out of, Dr. Monty's factory, 3, those Gobblegums will benefit me, and it's a huge feature that we definitely do need to see back in Black Ops 5. Even if it's not at launch, it's got to be mentioned at launch and promised at launch and actually come through, unlike with Black Ops 4. And they can also monetize this to an extent in the form of distills. Distills were monetized in Black Ops 3, and I honestly understand that, and I think that that's fair as well. Okay, so they can even monetize Cookbook as well if they want. As long as they keep it the same as Black Ops 3, I am all for Cookbook coming back. I think it's needed to succeed. As I said, that's why it's appearing in the series. Next up, we're going to be talking challenges, daily, weekly, and monthly. So moving on to the challenges, they need to make a return, and in Black Ops 3, they were not present aside from daily challenges, and in Black Ops 4, they were integrated pretty decently. Now, you can earn XP, supply drops, and plasma in Black Ops 4. In Black Ops 3, essentially the same thing, just Divinium and XP, and this was definitely a good step in the right direction, Black Ops 4 that is, but I think they should take it a step further like with World War II, and I'm really talking MP here. I don't remember exactly how zombies worked, but World War II MP. Allow for daily, weekly, and even monthly challenges in some cases. Allow these challenges to offer Divinium, XP, character skins, special camos, Gobblegum bundles, even cosmetic weapon variants for that matter. Just picture this. You load up Black Ops 5, select the weekly challenge, get 3,000 headshots. Once you complete it, this challenge awards you with 2 random ultra rare Gobblegums, which for example could be a Perkaholic. The best part about this idea though is that the challenges are daily, weekly, and monthly. So not only are you simultaneously completing the one challenge that you may really care about, like for example that ultra rare Gobblegum challenge, but you're also banging out some others in the meantime, right? Maybe every month they release a whole set of challenges and you get to pick 3 in total, and they're rotating monthly, weekly, or daily maybe even, right? 1 daily, 1 monthly, 1 weekly you pick at a time. Every time you complete one, you could select another. This gives players yet another reason to grind the game on top of just the regular casual gameplay, right? They could even raise the level cap to something insane like 10,000, or have a crap ton of prestiges instead to make the game grind even stronger. Now this is definitely something we'll talk about in another video in the series, but the challenge system itself is definitely something important and only adds to the experience, and if it's as in-depth as I just mentioned, it could be a critical feature in the next game. Although it's neglected by devs often, the challenge system that is, it could be a critical feature in the next game that keeps people coming back if none of the other stuff does. Now moving on to mastery camos like Diamond, Gold, Dark Matter, and its respective challenges, and we're going to first start off with the camo section. So speaking of grinding, anybody remember Dark Matter from Black Ops 4? Well, that was awesome, and if available at launch with Black Ops 5, it would be even more allowing for everybody to complete over the first few months of the game. It came 4 months after BO4's launch, and many by that time were turned off. But my proposition now is to of course have it on disc, have it at launch, and make all of the camos on zombies specific, just zombie specific. So for example, if they bring back Dark Matter at MP, maybe take that camo and make it green instead of red in zombies, right? Even if it changes, make the camos the inverse of MP. So for example, say level 1's red in MP, make level 1 in zombies green, and then if level 2 is orange in MP, make level 2 blue in zombies, something like that. This will add a more unique touch on the camo and make it feel more rewarding once completed as well. Maybe also play around with more than just gold and diamond as well if you want. Maybe after a certain level of mastery with certain weapon categories, you can unlock a different variant of diamond or a further variant after diamond, and the same for gold. That's just a random idea though, definitely not necessary as having the core 3, gold, diamond, and then Dark Matter / master camo. However, Dark Matter definitely should make a comeback on disc in the next game. Now, camo challenges. So camo challenges in Black Ops 4 were perceived to be a little harsh, but what people didn't realize is that again, Dark Matter came a little late in the game life cycle, which means that you had less time to actually think about completing the challenges themselves, making them feel a lot more stressing and taxing on you. So I think they did it well. Tons of headshots, tons of kills, and multiple different enemies. Attachments, no attachments. They had a great mix in there, and if you play the game normally, you could get close to the camos before you even actually start to grind intensively for Dark Matter. So I honestly do believe that they did pretty much everything right in terms of the camo challenges within Black Ops 4. Pair those challenges with some of the other stuff we talked about in this video, like the Grief Rush game mode, like the various amounts of different challenges they'd have in game, not camo challenges, but other challenges that award you maybe plasma or Divinium and stuff like that. Pair it with those kind of things, even like weapons being overall good in Black Ops 4. If the weapons are really good, in Black Ops 5, the weapons are really good in Black Ops 5, it will make the camo challenges a lot less aggravating. It'll make make it a lot less aggravating and actually pretty painless. If the weapons are good, if you're playing different game modes, if you're switching stuff up, if you're doing challenges, it'll make the camo challenges actually pretty fun, in my opinion. So I think they did everything right in Black Ops 4. I think we should definitely see everything return pretty similarly to Black Ops 4 in terms of the camo challenges, and again, paired alongside something like a challenge system in some other game modes, I think it would just make everything a whole lot more fun to do. Alright, so now moving on to weapon kits. Now these are another thing that we'll be going over in a separate video in this series, but we'll briefly go over it right now. So for one, DLC weapons and MP should not automatically be put into zombies, in my opinion. I know, probably sounds crazy, but it just overloads the game on a crap ton of DLC weapons. So for example, just take a game like World War II Zombies. In Black Ops 4 to an extent as well, not as bad, but in World War II Zombies, if you go into that game, there are some weapons that if you haven't touched the game in about a year that you would not even recognize. There's just way too many weapons in the box. It gets annoying. I don't like it at all. And with previous games, I mean, IW wasn't horrible, Black Ops 4 wasn't horrible, but the more they add more DLC weapons, the worse it's going to get, like again, World War II, for example. So my solution is to either give us a toggle to turn the DLC weapons on or off, or let Treyarch decide which weapons go in each map, which I think is the best play, because not only will this take care of DLC weapons, but it also take care of some special weapons, like for example, the STG never appeared in MP, but it made its way into zombies. So we've seen it with with Mob of the Dead, with Buried, with Origins, with Setsubo no Shimo, with Garad Krovi, with Revelations. The weapons in those maps were all handpicked by Treyarch themselves to be in those maps specifically because they felt like they fit. Some weapons fit into the maps, some didn't, so they got cut. It made each experience feel unique as well, and in Black Ops 3, despite the contrast in the later DLC maps, I'll give them that, a lot of the box feels the same, but in BO2, every DLC map feels extremely unique. There's an extremely unique arsenal of weapons on Mob of the Dead, on Buried, on Origins, and it's because of the way Treyarch handpicked each weapon for each specific map. They knew what they were doing, so they did it. They didn't just throw in DLC, well, DLC weapons weren't really a thing, but they didn't just throw in DLC weapons into the box unknowingly. They didn't throw in DLC weapons because the community wanted them, like in Black Ops 4. They picked the weapons for us, and I think they did a great job within Black Ops 2, a decent job within Black Ops 3, and hopefully in the next game going forward, they pick the weapons for us once again. Now, I do believe, although I believe Treyarch should customize the weapons, it doesn't mean that I don't think we should customize the weapons that are in the box. So, any weapon that is available in the box, it should also be available in weapon kits, and even if it comes later in the season, let us customize it. If it's deserving of being in the box, it's deserving of being in weapon kits, period. I believe they could even add wonder weapons to this if they wanted to as well. Imagine adding rapid fire to the ray gun, or some kind of special scope, or even just straight up changing the color of the bullets. Cosmetic only changes if you want, but make the ray gun blue bullets or something like that. There's a lot of potential there, even with wonder weapons. It sounds awesome, and we'll talk about it, like I said, in another video, but in a basic recap, what I'd say is no DLC weapons. Treyarch handpicks our weapons for us in terms of each map's individual box. We, of course, have the ability to customize each and every single weapon with attachments, and maybe, just maybe, extend that customization over to wonder weapons. We'll have to wait and see about that one. Now, moving into character customization. Now, character customization in Black Ops 4 Zombies was literally just limited to the face paints, and at the end of the day, is the thing that I care about the absolute least for the next game. I could give two shits about how many characters or how my characters look if the game mechanics are not good. That being said, because of the game story, we may also be limited in attire, but being able to add a bunch of different cosmetics like glasses, shoes, face paints, hairdos, pants, and shirts sounds cool. I mean, I don't think it's needed, so I'm not going to say that I'm going to emphasize it in the series. I just wanted to mention it because, you know, it is a thing, but I don't think character customization is the biggest thing ever. Quick shout out, by the way, to Luke for posting this image, for sending me this image. I asked for it, he sent it over, so it is what it is. This was the line that I asked him to make up, that I posted on Twitter. I basically said, just imagine, right? Just imagine that we have Rick Toffin with clown hair, booty shorts, basketball shoes, a bra, and a fedora. I think I'm gonna go crawl into my fetal position now. Moving into server pause. Server pause first made its way into Black Ops 4 Zombies and was a great feature as it not only helped during the Easter egg hunt, but also during bathroom breaks, okay? And on top of that, it allowed for more co-op high rounds and different co-op games to just take place, and to even go on multiple days if it needed to. If people were willing to pause, they could do it for multiple days. It's a great feature that I can just, you know, sum up with one word: convenient. Bring it back if you can, because why not? Next, team bots. Something revolutionary that Black Ops 4 Zombies introduced was team bots. Can't deny it at all. They could even do Easter eggs with you if you wanted them to, which again is really cool. Really cool. And a nice touch, but not needed for the next game in my eyes to succeed. If anything, despite how cool they are, if anything, they actually tend to hinder the player in most cases. cases. Keep in mind, this doesn't mean that I don't want them in the next game or I'd be mad if they came back. I just don't see them as needed to succeed. But with that being said, I have now gone through everything I wanted to say, so now we're going to go ahead and jump into your guys' feedback before we end the video. Just at this point, make sure if you want to be featured in the next video that you comment on what I asked you guys to comment on at the beginning. But let's jump into the community feedback now. Alright, so the first comment up here comes over from Twitter from Eric Maynard, Elite Eric as I like to call him. He says that he just wants some sort of Easter egg / story / campaign mode for plot stuff and plot stuff only, instead of the mode that's just classic / survival. He also says that in terms of weapons, he wants the variants that will give him some, a little bit of a boost in zombies. Like for example, on IW, you can upgrade your Mauler if you get the variant to the Mauler Sentinel. He also says that character changing, like World War II, or some sort of character customization / skins, he kind of likes that as well. And he wants a shop for zombies like Warzone, which is interesting. I'm not exactly sure how that would work, but okay. Next, Experfusion says a tournament-like system where every week there's new challenges like speedrun, this Easter egg, etc. And the top 50 or so, the fastest times that week, they get a reward. Or challenges like get X amount of kills using snipers. Okay, so there you go. Kind of similar to some of the stuff you heard in this video. I definitely think that that's cool. I think the competitive aspect of zombies is definitely something to be explored. Next, Gavin says, I definitely want a lot to grind for besides level 1000 and a few calling cards. And BO4 definitely stepped it up with a lot more calling cards and master camos, but I want so much to do that it feels like I'll never finish. And I agree with this. I definitely agree. That's why I even think they should raise the level literally as far as 10k. Sounds insane, but I honestly think that may not be the worst idea. Maybe not that high, but you know what I'm saying. But Gavin goes on to say that also maybe make more in-depth daily or weekly challenges, like beat a certain Easter egg with no perks, to reach a certain round with no pack-a-punch. I'd actually enjoy doing challenges like that, which, of course, very, very good idea. Cracks, Elite Man right there. Shout out to him for buying the merch, as well as Chronos G1, Elite Men. He says, honestly, I think all zombies needs is a new pack-a-punch system and the main perks back. Maybe Wonder Fizz. I don't know why I read that, like I've never run anything in my life, but there you go. Next, Ben Verder Nick says, one thing I really want is a complete overhaul of the round and health system. The amount of zombies that should spawn, the amount of zombies that can spawn, okay, so I did read that right, cap at round 100, and the health leading up to that and after that should increase on a slower pace, and don't have double pap abilities. Okay, we're gonna go over that in a second. He also says, have survival maps that can be played with up to 18 people. Okay, interesting. And a mode with randomized wall weapons, box weapons, both with random attachments to, okay, this is actually really cool. Door prices, lengthy of rounds, perk locations, complete random ball spawns, not based on rounds and perks. Okay, so a survival mode that randomizes everything. Okay, interesting, very interesting. And he's basically saying that about the first part, because I got a little bit confused about that, he wants different zombies health scaling as well as our health scaling. So he wants, again, the amount of zombies at round 100 should cap out round 100. That's what Ben thinks, and he thinks that their health should increase at a much slower pace than it does in a game like Black Ops 3, and no double pap abilities. Okay, and the final thing he says, and finally, a fully customizable HUD that also comes with Treyarch made HUDs based in their older zombie. Okay, interesting. Older zombies modes also have a few prestige rewards and one when you unlock the master camo. Okay, very interesting stuff from Ben there. Okay, so the next comment comes over from YouTube from Effortastic, Elite Man right there. How are your meatballs? He says the BO4 pack system feels like they pulled an Exo Zombies, honestly. Also, one thing they did do right was Carpenter restores your shield. Okay, so Mr. 420 Impeller says, personally, I think we need a return to a classic zombies game. Okay, World at War and BO1, simple, fun to play, easy to learn, no gobblegum, no elixirs, minimal story. Take the core mechanics of the old games and use them, because that's what made zombies good. That's what I hope we get in the new COD. I'm sure it won't happen, and it won't. I see where he's coming from. I definitely see. He just wants a more, relaxed version of zombies without all this crazy stuff going on. And a lot of my friends who play casually also feel that way. So I feel what he's saying for sure. Okay, so next comment comes up from Paralyzed. He says it needs to go back to the roots, survival, and no need to rank up. You unlock perks and the OG perk machines, and please have real weapons that don't sound like toys, and no more double pap AATs. It makes wonder weapons irrelevant. And also with your saying if they're faster that you, wow. Okay, you guys I'm sorry, but you really have to double check your spelling before you post this stuff. And finally, Valiant says disagree, just do it on BO3. Not gonna lie, I don't know what the fuck that means, but there you go.
I've been wishing for some better days. Could you listen? No, why can you stay?